Okay, I'm live. I'm by myself today. As you can see, we got a jam-packed show today. We got to talk Iowa women's basketball, men's basketball, losing, win wrestlers, um, and then the women wrestlers. We're gonna add them to this podcast today too because I'm all by myself, and I figure, what the heck, I can probably squeeze it all in. Right now, nobody's watching. I forgot to send out a notification that we were gonna do this, so hopefully, YouTube sent out the notification to all my 700 or 280 subscribers, and you all will be here in just a second. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get started. Okay. So the women are three-peat Big Ten champions, but boy, I'll tell you, not without a lot of drama in that game yesterday. I will tell you that. It was just like looking like Iowa wasn't going to be able to get this one. And so but they found a way in the second half to fight and claw their way back. They get the score tied in the fourth quarter, and then they have to come back and tie it again to send it to overtime. Um, some of the notables in this game, in the overtime was Gabby Marshall came up with a fantastic block shot and was able to hold on to the ball and get a timeout before she went out of bounds. Caitlin got on the last shot of the game for Nebraska. She was able to steal the ball and dribble it back up court. Um, but Nebraska was a pretty tough team. That Markowski looked pretty good. That was her name, Jazz Shelley. Looked pretty good. I'm glad that she's used up. I think she's used up her eligibility, so hopefully she's gone because that girl is a dead eye and was she really wanted that win. Well, I mean, not that the rest of the girls at Nebraska didn't want the win, but so and just it just looked like we got contributions from everybody. It looks like and we're gonna go over that a little bit. Despite the hot shooting Nebraska got off to, they shot 41.6% for the game, and Iowa shot 44%. So we shot a little better. 3 points though, they shot 41%. That shouldn't surprise anybody. Um, but Iowa shot 39%, and honestly, I thought that was a pretty good number considering how many 3-point shots Caitlin missed early in the game. And speaking of Caitlin, she only had 4 points um, at halftime. And man, I thought, man, she can't find the bucket. She can't find the range. And honestly, I mean, she did have to force some of those, but most of those were, I thought she had a pretty solid look at some of them shots. Both teams shot 78% from the free throw line. Iowa out rebounded them 48-43. We had 15 turnovers. They had 14. They had 9 steals. We had 6. Um, so yeah, as we talked about, Caitlin only having 4 points at halftime, but got 34 points total. So she scored 30 points in the second half and in overtime. So she came out and did her thing. There were 16 lead changes, 4 ties. The Hawks only led for 2 minutes and 10 seconds in the entire game. I'm not surprised. Okay. This is Iowa's 7th Big Ten tourney win. Iowa's won 4 of the last 6, 2019, 22, 23, and 24 because they are in the three-peat. Lisa Bluter, though, since she's coached Iowa, this is her 5th win. This is her 5th win. She got one in 2001, and I believe that's right around her second or third year there. And I forget if you guys can help me out. I forget who was on the team in 2001. Iowa set a Big Ten tourney record for the entire tournament. They got 39 threes. And so CC had 112 assists for the 13 games that she's played in the Big Ten tournament in her career. That beats somebody from Ohio State, I believe, had like 67. So that beats second place by a whole bunch. I don't know who all was on the all tournament team. We know that Caitlin was named the MVP. Sydney O'Falter made the all tournament team, but I don't know who else was on it. Let me see if I can find that for you. Might as well look. My trusty Google. Who was on the All Big Ten women's basketball tournament team? Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys could hear that because I don't think my microphone's working. Yeah, it won't come on. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's dead. Okay, so the All Big Ten tournament team was Caitlin Clark of Iowa, J.C. Sheldon of Ohio State, Mackenzie Holmes of Indiana, Aleska Markowski from Nebraska, Cody McMahon from Ohio State, Lilia from Michigan. She deserves it. Sarah Williams from Wisconsin. Um, Shanae Sellers from Maryland. And okay. Well, it said Sydney O'Folter was on the team, but I don't see her name here. Maybe she was All Big Ten second team. Did they pick an All Big Ten second? Okay, so this might not be correct. Hmm. Okay, this was the All Big Ten teams for. This wasn't the All Big Ten tournament team. Okay, let's try this one again. All right. Who were the All Big Ten tournament women's basketball team? Okay, we don't care about that. All right. No, we're not going to get that. Okay. If somebody finds it, please post it in the comment section for me, please. Okay. Yeah. So, Hannah Stokey, as you guys know, is not been a great free throw shooter all year, and but during the tournament, she hit 11 of 13. So that girl was on fire. And during the last 4 games that Iowa's played, which included 3 Big Ten tournament teams, Gabby is 16 of 32 for 50% from the 3-point line. You can't you can't go wrong with that. With Gabby doing that. I know that people are down on Gabby a little bit. And honestly, she should be out there. Um, yeah, we'll get to that. Lamaya Power Hawkeye. Lamaya. Anyway, we'll get to that. And yes, you know who shot 1 for 10. Okay. So let's go over the women's. Hannah had 25 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, and 2 block shots. Not a bad day for her. She, almost I would have to say the second best player on the team. She consistently comes up there, but when she has Caitlin Clark passing her the ball, she can't help but get that shot off, right? Okay. Sydney gets 11 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, and 1 block shot. Yeah, and so, oh yeah, okay. So anyhow, when I'm looking at it, Sydney, I think if Molly comes back, I don't think she's going to start anyway because they'll have to work her back in the lineup and do a little bit at a time. But I think Sydney's earned the starting spot through the rest of the tournament run. Um, you know, not that Molly can't do, Molly's a better ball handler probably, and Sydney's going to be a permanent starter next year anyway. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Kate had 13 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 0 steals, but looks like she had 2 block shots. So that's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, Gabby though. I mean, out of all the last 4 or 5 games that she's played. This was a down game for her, but she had 6 points, 1 rebound, but she had 3 assists, 1 turnover, and she didn't have a steal in this game. Okay, I thought there was a steal, but she didn't have one. But she did have a blocked shot that everybody saw, right? Okay, Addison O'Grady, 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, and 1 block shot for her too. Okay. Kylie, this was a quiet game for her. She had no points. She had 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 steal. She was pretty quiet in this game. And then Taylor McCabe came off and got her usual 3 points, but no other stats. Taylor, had been coming off the bench and lighting it up from the 3-point line. Llama, thank you. Okay. So anyway, I think the women, where they're going to be seated. Okay. Right now, everybody has got them as the number 1 or the number 2 1 seed, right behind South Carolina, which would make everybody happy because everybody wants to avoid South Carolina until the last minute. So if that were the case and Iowa would make it to the championship game, that's the only place they could meet South Carolina is in the title game. Or do we want to run into LSU first and have or as what's her name, Angel Reese says, we ain't afraid of nobody. Bring them on. I feel sorry for anybody that has to meet us going forward. That's because they like to be a little more physical. And the referees in this game, after last year's game with LSU, if they don't call a tighter game this year, that's gonna be ridiculous if they don't. However, it was suggested by somebody in one of their podcasts today that UCLA is lining up to be a 2 seed and a 3 seed would be UConn. UConn would be a 3 seed. And I think that people were kind of looking forward to a possibly Iowa UConn matchup. And I wouldn't mind seeing Paige Beckers and UConn go against Iowa. I'd like to see them go through some of the good teams, instead of some of the teams like South Carolina and LSU. Those teams aren't any fun to play. I mean, you saw what happened in the game yesterday between those two, the brawl that broke out. I mean, everybody knows and one girl got disqualified, and now people are saying that LSU is so dirty that they set that girl up to be disqualified. No, they didn't. Okay. Then there's people getting mad at Angel Reese because Angel Reese decided that she wasn't going to partake in the fight and went and sat on the bench while her teammates fought. Good for her. She walked away from it. I'll give Angel that credit. She walked away from a fight. She walked away from trouble. She knew that wasn't going to be good for the team. Okay. But yeah, so I think right now that's kind of where people thinking Iowa will land, but we won't find that out. I think either will we find out Sunday or maybe Monday, because traditionally I always thought they did the Monday reveal on the women reveal on Monday. Okay. Okay. Now we need to move on to the very unfortunate Iowa men's team, the one that has all season given us highs, given us lows. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thug Reese is soft. Yeah. If you don't mind, I'm not gonna put that up there just because of you called her a thug. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll put this one up because I like this one better. Or how about this one since we're talking about the men? Did anyone shoot for 1 and 10 in the men's game? Yeah, Perkins did. Perkins and Cricky didn't show up for this game. I don't know where they were at, but they weren't in Iowa City. They weren't in the Carver Hawkeye Arena because they weren't playing to help their team win. and the proof will be in the stats when we talk about it. Okay, guys? But Iowa shot only a dismal 35% for the game. 35%. Horrible. Illinois shoots 44. However, we did shoot better 3% than they did. They shot 31, we shot 33. Free throws are about the same. 60% for them, 61 for us. 61 is horrible, by the way, guys. I can't believe that we were shooting that poorly in free throws. And we just got totally smashed on the boards. Out rebounded 50 to 33. That's just ridiculous. However, we forced 12 turnovers. Um, so we forced 12 turnovers and they only forced 5 of us, and we got 5 steals and they only got 2. So hey, something happened right in that game. Okay, so they end up with the 7th seed. They play Ohio State, who's 5-1 since their coach got fired. Help me out here, Lama. If they would happen to win the Ohio State game, who's next in line? Illinois? I think Illinois is next in line. Okay, all right. So Iowa really needed this win to get, to help them get into their NCAA tournament. I think even if they do win 1 or 2 games in the Big Ten, they will not make the tournament. I think they got an automatic. I think they've earned an automatic bid to the NIT though, which means that they would. I think they would have the first 2 round games played in their home, and that can be worked out. I mean, it's the same week the women will be hosting their 2 games. Well, actually, there's a total of 4 games because there's a total of 4 teams that will be playing that weekend. But they'll be hosting their 2 games at Carver too. But they can work around that time wise. They can work around that, like push it off a day or something. Maybe Iowa gets a Friday, Monday situation, or Friday, Sunday, Saturday, Monday, whatever. How the women do it, and so I really believe that Iowa can get the homes worked out, the schedule worked out, and I would encourage the fans to show up for NIT games because honestly, I believe at this point that's where they're headed. Okay, I will eat crow on the air if they do make the NCAA. Not really crow, but I'll find something stupid to eat. I'm not gonna go outside. I got a bunch of crows outside. I should probably go kill one and right. No, I can't do that. Okay, I really thought Harding outplayed Perkins, and I don't understand why we stuck with Perkins for so long in the second half. Harding, every time Harding was in the game, we made a hell of a run. We closed the gap, but then we closed the gap and we take Harding out and we put Perkins in and allow them to go on and run to keep building the lead. It seemed like every time we made a run at them, they made a bigger run back at us. So I don't know. But the one thing we can be proud of them in this game is they got down 21 points early, 30-9, and they came within 4 points at one point, and another point they lost that and got down 12, but then they came back and I think they got within 6 later on in the game. Okay, they, you know, those most of those guys kept fighting, but Perkins, his drives to the lane, and not coming up with any score when he does that. I have this theory that he gets most of his points at the free throw line. So when he drives to the lane, he's looking to be fouled and he's not looking to score. I truly believe that. Which is why his balls never look like they're ever going to go in when he throws them up. And to Illinois' credit, they didn't foul him. They didn't put him on the foul line because I think they kind of knew that was his MO because he just kind of throws it up there. And, honestly, I've been a Perkins fan, from the day that he stepped on campus. I defended him when everybody was down on him for McCaffrey recruiting him the very first year, that first recruiting class, which consisted of Perkins. And I want to remind you guys uh, who was in that class. Um, the Murray brothers were in that class, and you know how good they were for Iowa. Can you imagine if the Murray brothers had waited and played out their eligibility? and before they went to the NBA, how powerful of a team we would have right now. We wouldn't need a Cricky at all. And part of the problem with Iowa is they've always had big guys like the Murray brothers and Luka Garza. They've been able to step outside the 3-point line and hit the three. And right now they're not doing that. Ricky's not stepping out there and shooting a three. Um, and it doesn't look like that's any part of Owen Freeman's game, although I think he did do it once. And Dembele, he's also another big guy. He shouldn't be out there doing threes, but he did. I think he has made a couple this year. But I cringe every time he shoots. And then he hacks everybody. But if you listen to Jordan Bohannon on his podcast, he says that's what Dembele should be doing: is never shoot and just hack away at everybody, foul everybody, hit them, foul them hard. And I can't remember what the other thing. He said there was three things that Dembele needed to do. Um, I don't think Jordan is a huge fan of Dembele. So anyway, so we get the seventh seed in Ohio State, and then yeah, that's at 5:30 Central Standard Time this Thursday, guys. I will get to watch that whole game before I have to take off for my Thursday night Bible study. So that's good. That's good. But let's go look at this right now. Ricky had 2 points, one rebound, only one rebound and 2 points. This is unacceptable for a post player. Unacceptable, or a four player. If he's playing the four or Freeman's playing the four. But either way, between the two of them, they need more than that. Okay. And so we got 0 assists. He had 0 turnovers. He had one steal and one block shot. And and I don't usually post these, but I just wanted to show you guys how bad Ricky played. He was a minus 15 while he was in the game. Okay. Owen Freeman comes in the game, is 8 for 8. I mean, he's 8 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. He did have one turnover, but he had 5 blocked shots from what I got on here. That's just crazy. Okay. Then there's Perkins, only 2 points, but he had 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So the 4 assists are great. They credit him with only one turnover. I could have swore there was more, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. And yeah, he was a minus 13 while he was in the game. But here's something surprising. Peyton Stanford gets 23 points, 7 rebounds, but 0 assists, one turnover, and one steal. And he's also a minus 15 while he played. And I mean, his stats scoring wise and rebounds are not too bad, but I guess you need a couple assists in there to get on the plus side. PMAC only 5 points. Usually we want more out of PMAC. There was thought earlier in the season that he could be one of our 20 point scores. I really thought that. Okay, and he's not done that, but he's had injuries, he's had health issues, and he's not the player that he was when he was in high school, what he was recruited as. And he could come back for another year if he wants. I'm gonna bet on it that he doesn't. I'm betting that he gets on with his life and moves on. He's been here for 6 years already, and so I would expect him to take off and go. Okay, and so he was a minus while he was in the game too, but it wasn't real bad. It was like -5 or -6. Dembele's 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and he was a -8 while he was in the game. And Harding had 6 points, 1 rebound, but he had 6 assists and 2 steals. That gave him a +2 while he was in the game. I guess Llama, you've left me too. Oh, you've left me too. There's nobody else here. Hopefully, you guys are all watching it on the replay. Okay. And Bryce Stanford was a +6. His only stat was that he had 2 rebounds. And so, where does this leave them in? Okay. I think they're going the NIT. I think even with a win, I think in order for them to even be considered for the NCAA was they would have to either win out or at least get to the title game on Sunday. Is that possible? This is a team that's up and down, and it's possible that they could. I feel like they're capable of beating anybody, but they're also capable of losing to anybody. But they haven't proved that this year. I don't know if they have the confidence to go up against a team. Maybe that's why they can't hold leads against Illinois, or they get buried by Illinois and can't get over the hump, okay? Or the against Purdue, they get whacked pretty good. Um, maybe they just proven that they can't play against the so-called good teams. I know they could if they wanted to, and I just think that maybe they don't believe it. Maybe they don't believe it themselves. They really don't. Okay. Quickly, I'm going to go over the Big Ten wrestling results real quick. Iowa finished a disappointing fourth place behind Penn State number one, Michigan number two, Nebraska number three, and then Iowa finished fourth. It's just a sad day in Big Ten when Nebraska and Michigan are finishing ahead of Iowa in Big Ten standings. So I don't know what that's going to do in them nationally when you start throwing in the other teams. Iowa State won their the Big 12 wrestling tournament. Okay, I imagine maybe Iowa State sneaks in the nationals in the top 3 or 4, but I don't look for Iowa if they can't get their act together and the guys do that because only a couple of them matched their seed or better. Everybody else did not match their seed. Everybody else um, went down, went down in their seeding, and so that really hurt. But I think Iowa was they still got more points than they were projected to get. They were projected to be fourth place in the precedings, and that's exactly where they are. But they got like 108 points, 118 points, or something like that. I should have wrote that down, but I didn't. And they were only projected to get like 93 in the pre things. So Zach Glazier was our only wrestler to make it to the finals. He did lose to Aaron Brooks, a Penn State wrestler, who was ranked number one by Tech Ball. So he finishes second. However, Zach kept Iowa's streak alive of having at least one person in the finals since 1967. That 1967 was the last time that Iowa didn't have a wrestler in the finals. Okay, and here's a nice one. Drake Ayala, who was seeded number two at 125, he beats Matt Ramos, who was seeded number one, for the third place spot. So neither one of those two guys got to that. Those two were supposed to wrestle each other, but they didn't do it at the one. They didn't do it for the title there. They were doing it for third and fourth place, and that's kind of good because Matt Ramos beat him earlier this year. Matt Ramos also lost to a high schooler this year earlier. High schooler. But he also the one that beat um, 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 oh God, I hate it when my mind goes blank like that. Yeah, he also beat our big gun at 125 last year too. Okay, so all these guys were third place. Real Woods got third place. Michael Coliendo got third place. Jared Frank took fourth place. Peyton Robb because he had to medically forfeit. So I don't know if somebody who saw that match or knows what's going on, did he actually get really hurt or did they just decide to yank him out of there? Brody Teske takes fifth. He was seeded number 14, so he really beat his seed. And he beat a number 7 seed in Baxton Brown. Um, Caleb Rathjen was a 3 seed. He takes spot number 5. He wins the 5th place spot, and Patrick Kennedy was a number 3 seed also, and he finished 5th, as did Bradley Hill, who also finished 5th. I believe Bradley Hill was a lot lower seed when he did that. Riggins looks like he's the lone non-place winner. Because Iowa placed 9 of 10, and Riggins Looked like he had a chance to wrestle for 10th, ninth place or ninth place, but he didn't win when he won one and lost one for the ninth place. So looks like he didn't actually do that. So what's that feel for the future for Iowa wrestling? Nationals are next. Let's see how they do. Let's see how they do farewell when they're not wrestling their fellow Big Teners, and they will wrestle some of them, obviously. But let's see if they can do better than what I think they will do. But now, as of now, I think they're going to finish way behind. Because there's a lot of good teams out there that are non Big Ten teams. So it's going to be tough for them to even make the top four again. Or the top three. Okay. All right. Here's the women's wrestling. Okay, it's not an NCAA sport yet. It will be, but right now it's the National Collegiate of Women's Wrestling Tournament Nationals. The women crowned 6 national champs and a team title. They were ranked number 2 going into that, and so they overtook the number 1 team in there, and they had 10 All-Americans. Now, I'm not sure, women's wrestling must do this a little bit different than men, but the women had 2 Hawkeyes wrestling for the championship at 101, and that was number 1, Emmy Gonzalez against Sterling Diaz, number 2, and Emily Gonzalez wins over Sterling too. So Iowa gets a first and a second place in that same match. Ava Bayless won her bout at 109, and then again we had 2 Hawkeyes going for the title. Number number 4 ranked Felicity Taylor vested number 3 Brianna Gonzalez, which is the twin sister to Emily. Um, and so they got the 1 and 2 there, and the champions in the 116 bracket. Then we have to jump to 143 because the article didn't really talk about anything in between. So I'm assuming our girls didn't fare as well there, or they're just talking about the national champions here. Okay, so number 2 at the 143 spot, Reese Laramendi. Um, she wins by a pin, so she's national champion, and she's number 2. She was number 2 ranked, and returning champion from another school. I don't know what school she was at before. Marilyn Deedy gets her second title, but the first as a Hawkeye. Okay, and then at 170, Kylie Welker, she tech falls her win over number 2 seeded Yelena Makajad, however you say that. Okay. So anyhow, okay. So anyway, the Guns, and some of the national thing is they had 6 national champions. They have 10 All Americans. All 6 national champions are gonna um, are able to go and try out for the 2024 Olympic team trials, and so that's really great for them. Um, Gonzalez twins have combined for a record of 41-3 this year, and they gave Coach Clarissa Chung, not sure how that's said, Coach of the Year. So the women's wrestling, it looks like it's in great shape. Um, the men's wrestling has some work to do, but I think the future's bright. They got a class coming in next year. Plus, they've redshirted some guys, and who knows? Maybe with the whole gambling thing, I don't know if there's anybody with any eligibility left coming back. So it's kind of funny that Jacob Warner and Nelson Brands have both gone on X or Twitter as it used to be known, and really criticized the NCAA for their stupid rules and stuff because they're both saying that the best people weren't on the mat for Iowa this weekend, and of course, they're saying they're the best. Um, but I don't know if any of those guys that are going to come back. Cassiope, I don't know if he has any eligibility left. I don't know if Brands has any eligibility. Uh, you know. Jacob Warner. I don't know if he has any eligibility left, or are their careers over. I think Nelson Brand's career is over. I think from what he said in some of his Twitter accounts. So that's But anyway, I think guys that give Brands a chance to refix this because he's wrestling with guys he did not expect to wrestle this year. Um, he he was expecting some guys to return who didn't, and Brands is pretty fired up about that. So, if you're a news media outlet guy, you need to go out and find out why Iowa's not hiring a lawyer to do what Iowa State did and get all those charges wiped away. And get the charges wiped away completely. Because I feel in my gut that if they wipe away the charges, then the NCAA has to rescind their punishment because by wiping away the charges, you're saying that didn't happen, or you can't prove that it happened. So the NCAA can't go back and punish these people. That would be dumb. It's just like in a court of law, you know. Um, the judge can't punish somebody after they dismiss the case. Basically, that's what they're doing. They're dismissing the case against these guys, and the judge can't say, "Okay, now you get to go to jail. We're going to still put you in jail, put you in prison." Doesn't work that way, and it shouldn't work that way with the NCAA. At least for the Iowa State players, NCAA needs to rescind all their punishments and put those guys back out there on the field, on the mat, wherever they're from. Okay, and Iowa needs to get a lawyer, and they need to start going after that and getting what Iowa State got, because Iowa was treated the same way Iowa State was, and this is one place where Iowa State has been smarter than Iowa. You know, these guys hired lawyers and got the charges rescinded. Good for Iowa State, bad for Iowa for not taking that route. Because they also said that the racial issues that Iowa went through in 2020. Barta and the president decided to um, settle the case, which basically, when you say you settle for a certain amount of money, even if you're not guilty, you're telling the world you're guilty. And this is just stupid on Iowa's part. They could have gone to court and fought that and won, but they didn't. They chose not to. All right, guys. I just wanted to get on here. I know I'm probably a day late and a dollar short on all this, but I just wanted to get on here, and hopefully you've listened this far. If you have, I would appreciate you to subscribe, like the show, comment, and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your Husker fans. They get a kick out of watching my podcast about the Iowa Nebraska game. Or we could go back and share one of my Iowa um, when we beat Nebraska in this year. We could show that and play that podcast for the Nebraska fans or Iowa State fans. I get a kick out of it. I do send them to my friends at those that are fans of those schools, because I get a kick out of sending it to them. Some of them watch it religiously, and you don't even have to sit here and watch this. You can just put this on your phone on YouTube, hook it up to your car player, and just drive away and listen to it while you're commuting. That's what I do. I rarely sit there and watch a YouTube podcast because I'm driving around, or I'm working out in the gym, or doing something, yard work or something. So I just have it in my headsets on my phone and I listen. That's the best way to do it. Okay, guys. And but I do watch some, and I appreciate it if you would. So I'm going to get out of here. I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this and listen, and go Hawkeyes. We've got, the Iowa women got almost 2 full weeks off. The Iowa men will be back in play Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, I guess. And let's see how they do. And then we'll do a podcast show of the seedings and the where the men actually end up, if they do end up in the NCAA or the NIT. I'll do a podcast show with that, and we'll do one with the women on what one, did they get the 1 seed? Did they get the second overall number one seed. We'll find out. We'll find that all out come Sunday, and we'll podcast it out. Okay. In the meantime, have a great night and enjoy this podcast. I appreciate you guys watching and listening.